Have you ever noticed how most retirement discussions focus on a single big fear, which is running out of money? That's a legitimate concern. And while that certainly is legitimate, there's a related danger that doesn't get nearly as much attention, but it should. It's the danger that often shows up long before retirees begin worrying about running out of money. In fact, it usually appears during what many people consider to be the best years of retirement, the early years, the first 5 years in particular. Those are the years when you're healthy, energetic, active, and excited about finally having control over your time and your money. The years are often referred to as the go-go years. And there's age limits on this. Some people say that's 60 to 70, other people say 65 to 75. And it's different. I think a lot of it's dictated by health when you retire, et cetera. But it's the first few years of retirement. But that's exactly what I want to talk about today, because one of the biggest threats to retirement isn't a stock market crash, rising healthcare costs, or inflation. Those are all serious problems for sure. But it's really overspending in the first few years of retirement, because that's something we have control over. The cruel irony is that a lot of retirees don't even realize they're doing it until the damage has already been done. But by then it's too late, and that's why we need to talk about this now. Let's talk about how this plays out. The urge to splurge in the first year of retirement. After decades of working, retirement often feels like a giant release of pressure. I totally get that. I didn't have that kind of, suddenly the light switch went off and I was not working anymore. I was retired. Mine was more gradual. It was kind of a descent. So I didn't have that release, but I can imagine it. I know from quitting jobs what that feels like. But there's no more alarm clocks, no more commuting to a distant job. No more office politics. Who doesn't want to get rid of that? No more meaningless meetings. That's my own pet peeve in the workplace. Too much of those. No more dealing with difficult customers, clients, managers, co-workers, or deadlines. You finally have freedom, and freedom can be intoxicating. For a lot of retirees, the first year feels a lot like a celebration. And honestly, it should be, because you've earned it. But that's where the problems start to begin. A lot of retirees spend the first year checking off all the items on a very long deferred wish list. Things like buying a new car or two, renovating the house, upgrading furniture, maybe getting all new furniture. We deserve it after all these years. Buying an RV or a second home, joining expensive clubs, taking dream vacations and more than a few of them, helping children financially, buying toys and gadgets they've always wanted, but just always felt like we can't splurge because we have to prepare for retirement. Well, now retirement's here, right? None of these taken individually are necessarily bad decisions when done in moderation. The problem is when several happen at the same time, and that's not unusual. The first year of retirement can become a giant spending spree. And because retirement account balances often appear large on paper, the spending doesn't initially feel dangerous. After all, what's a $20,000 expense against a $500,000 retirement portfolio? But then there's another $15,000 after that, and another $25,000 after that, and then another and another. The account balance still looks substantial, especially if you've never had a lot of money. You're just, okay, I went from $500,000 down to $400,000. That's still a lot of money. Okay, but if you break down how much it's going to cost you to retire over decades, maybe it's not that much money. Something important is happening beneath the surface. You're establishing a spending pattern. Spending patterns have a way of becoming permanent, precisely because they feel so good when you're spending freely. The spending problem is on top of the large initial reduction in your savings because of all the feel-good spending. Again, within the first couple of years, you can substantially reduce the amount of savings you have, but it may still look like a big number on paper, though greatly reduced. Next, heavy travel in the first few years. Of all retirement expenses, travel may be the most emotionally compelling. And honestly, I understand completely. For decades, you've had limited vacation time. You've spent your entire working life postponing trips. Someday we'll go, someday we'll see Europe, someday we'll take cruises. Retirement arrives and suddenly someday is today. That creates a powerful temptation to make up for lost time. A lot of retirees spend heavily on travel during the first 5 years, especially on costly international and exotic travel. I can remember years ago, we can go back to the 70s and the 80s. Retirees might go to Florida or the Carolinas. They might go out west, maybe down to the islands. Today, people go to Egypt. They go to Sri Lanka. I don't even know why I would go there. Never occurred to me. They go on, a Nile River cruise. They go to the Maldive Islands. They go to Bali. It's not the standard places people used to be content to go. But all of those trips come with high price tags. That's the problem. Again, absolutely nothing wrong with travel. In fact, these can be some of the best years to travel because your health and mobility are still relatively strong. But there's an important distinction between thoughtful travel and excessive travel. And a lot of people do lean toward excessive travel. The challenge is that travel spending often feels justified because you're creating memories. And that is true. The problem is that retirement isn't 5 years long. It may last 30 years or even longer. When retirees spend heavily during the go-go years, they're often unknowingly borrowing from their own futures. In fact, you may very well find yourself wishing you have more money and fewer memories, but by then it'll be too late. That's why you need to think about these things now. The risk you can't control, sequence of returns risk. The very term is kind of intimidating. Financial planners think about it constantly, and I know that they talk about this to their clients. I don't know the clients always understand it. It can be devastating. It's a technical term, and that's why it's so easy to forget, sequence of return risk. But let's discuss it in an example. Let's say two retirees earn exactly the same average investment return for 20 years. They have the same return, same size portfolio, including composition, and the same retirement length. You'd think they'd end up in roughly the same place, but not necessarily. The retiree who experiences poor market returns early in retirement may suffer permanent damage to their portfolio. Why? Because they're making withdrawals while their investments are falling. Now imagine withdrawing money from your portfolio that just dropped 20% in 1 year. Now imagine doing it again the following year. Think about this. The market's dropping 20% per year for 2 years, and each year you're pulling out 4% for the safe withdrawal rate. At the end of 2 years, you've reduced your portfolio by nearly 50%. The problem you have there is when your portfolio has been reduced that dramatically, you don't really have the capital to rebuild, especially as you're continuing to take withdrawals. So this gets really complicated from a financial standpoint. One of the reasons why the first decade of retirement is so important financially is exactly because of this. And here's the scary part. You have absolutely no control over what the markets are going to do. You can't control recessions, bear markets, inflation spikes, interest rate hikes, economic crises, foreign conflicts, political disturbances. Any one of those can hurt the performance of the stock market. But the one thing you do have control over is your spending. Overspending during the go-go years magnifies the sequence of return risk dramatically. You're withdrawing more money precisely when you need to be withdrawing less, or maybe not withdrawing any at all. And if you're living well in the go-go years, you may be withdrawing a lot more than the recommended 4% safe withdrawal rate. You may be withdrawing 6%, 8%, whatever supports the lifestyle you wanted in the first few years. It's one of the most dangerous combinations in retirement planning because your retirement savings are being reduced from two separate directions, from withdrawals and from market declines. The outcome is that you're nearly broke after 10 years, or maybe closer to it than you ever thought you'd be. And I've seen variations of this story many times. You retire at 62 or 65, you've accumulated a very healthy nest egg, maybe 400,000, 700,000, maybe a lot more. The first few years are wonderful. You travel or get a new vehicle or two, home improvements, generous gifts to your kids, to your other family members, to friends. Lots of dining out in nice restaurants, plenty of entertaining, the kind maybe you didn't take advantage of when you were working. Life is good overall. Then one day you look at all of your retirement accounts and the numbers are shockingly smaller than where you expected them to be at that point in your life. The portfolio that once felt substantial suddenly looks frighteningly inadequate, except now it's 10 years later and you're 72 or 75. Financial recovery is now more difficult, if it's even possible at all. Your health may be declining, or at a minimum, by the time you hit your 70s, you may not have the energy to work, certainly not full time. Employment opportunities are fewer, even if you wanted to work. The stock market may still not be cooperating. It's not impossible, and not to be a prophet of doom, but you have to think about this. You could experience a market decline shortly after retiring in your early 60s, and then a second one hits in your early 70s. An example is we had twin market shocks in the early 2000s from 2000 to 2002 with the dot-com bust, and then again 2007 to 2009 with the financial meltdown. This is not an impossible scenario. I'm not talking science fiction here. In the real world, these things can happen. Suddenly, retirement becomes much more stressful because now you're worried about money in a way that maybe you didn't worry about it when you were working. It was 100 smaller decisions accumulated over several years. Most financial troubles in retirement don't arrive like a lightning strike. They arrive like erosion, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, until one day it becomes impossible to ignore. Unfortunately, by the time financial deficiency becomes obvious, there are fewer paths out of trouble. And that's why you need to think long-term in retirement. One of the biggest mindset shifts retirees need to make is understanding just how long retirement can last. A healthy 65-year-old couple has a very realistic chance that at least one spouse is going to live past 90. That's potentially a 30-year retirement. Now, I know a lot of people will look at their genetics and say, well, nobody in my family made it to 80. Okay, so you may be thinking, I'm 65, I've got maybe 15 years left. Maybe. But we have to remember that healthcare technology has improved dramatically in the last few decades. People are living healthier because there's more information on how to live better. So it's possible that even though no one in your family lived past 80, that you could live into your 90s. I've seen it happen. You probably have as well. And I think that's what you have to prepare for. Think about that. 30 years. That's almost as long as entire careers. In my case, it'd be like 3 or 4 careers, but that's a different story we're not going to talk about. Yet so many retirement spending decisions are made as though retirement lasts only 10 years. Again, don't rely on longevity as being, how long your relatives lived to determine how long you might live. And there's some fatalism in there. Well, I'm going to eat, drink, and be merry in the present because I don't know how much time I have. You can't think that way when it comes to retirement because once you reach a certain age, you're going to be relying on Social Security if you have a pension, and most people don't, and whatever retirement savings you have. So you've got to be very deliberate about this. On some level, you can understand it because the go-go years are exciting. You might be tempted to spend more money. And the future will feel distant. But retirement is a marathon, not a sprint. The goal isn't simply enjoying the first 5 years. The goal is enjoying all the years of your retirement to the best of your ability. And with some planning, it is possible to enjoy the go-go years without compromising the rest of your retirement. I've come up with 4 strategies. You probably could come up with a few more. First, set up a go-go years budget so that you can anticipate spending needs. And then you can either reduce spending or pursue strategies to generate additional income for those early years. That's advanced preparation. You can only do it, though, if you know what you intend to spend. Number 2, if you were planning to defer collecting Social Security until 67 or 70, a lot of people do that because they want the higher benefit later. Consider collecting immediately to cover the early retirement costs. There's a payback period on delaying Social Security. Typically, if you retire and take benefits at 62 versus 67 or 70, you're going to reach your early 80s before it's actually going to be to your advantage to wait until 70. So if you need the money early and you really do want to enjoy your life, and maybe you're worried about health concerns, you've got some conditions that could multiply over the years, or again, there may be genetic issues in your family, consider collecting Social Security early, get the extra income, cover those expenses, and rely less on your retirement savings. Number 3, continue working part-time to generate extra income during the first few years of retirement. I know a lot of people don't like this idea of, if I have to work part-time, I'm not really retired. So noted, but you know what? If you want to enjoy the early years of retirement and maybe not be fully retired, but still, semi-retired, you can have that and still have the money to enjoy your life without draining your savings. And that means you're going to be able to keep it all going a lot longer. That's a win-win. Number 4, set up a dedicated bucket for higher expenses in the first 5 years of your retirement, especially if you're planning on heavy travel. That way you don't disturb your primary retirement savings. The idea isn't to eliminate higher spending in the go-go years, but to make sure that that spending is properly funded before jumping in. That way you'll be able to splurge during the first few years of retirement, but also leave enough margin so that the future you has options. After all, one day the go-go years will end, but you'll still be around to deal with any negative fallout. And if you're properly prepared, you'll be closer to enjoying the stress-free retirement throughout your life that you always hoped you would have. That should be the goal. Okay, let's wrap it up. The go-go years can be some of the best years of your life. You're healthy, you're free of work, you're finally able to enjoy the time you've spent decades earning to accumulate the money that allowed you to relax and enjoy retirement, and you absolutely should enjoy it. But retirement isn't won or lost in a single year or in a block of 5 years. It's won or lost through hundreds of decisions made over many years. It's spending as though retirement is a long-term journey and not a short-term celebration. Enjoy the go-go years, certainly. Just don't spend so aggressively that you accidentally sabotage the years that follow, because they will come. Because the goal of retirement isn't simply to have a great first chapter, but to have a great life throughout. Do you know of anyone who lived so well during the go-go years that they found themselves compromised later in retirement? Have you had the same experience yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments and let's discuss how best to avoid this trap. If you like the content you're watching, hit the like button below and subscribe to the channel. Both will help this channel grow. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.